Alright, so I'm going to show you guys how to navigate the different shots in Node View. Eddie has 4 scenes for his entire film, and each scene has several shots. If you go to Window, you'll find Node View somewhere in the middle, and I like to attach it to this window. You can also like just expand it and maybe put it on a separate monitor. I have 2 monitors, but you were only seeing my drawing tablet. I like to attach it to this portion here, and we can zoom in and out, or I could also make the window bigger so it's easier to see. And these are basically all the shots in the scene. If I disconnect them from the composite, you don't see anymore. And also doesn't render when I click this button, which is the rendered view. That's because this display is it represents what you see. This right represents what the software processes. And this composite is kind of just a gateway for everything to pass through neatly. This here is the color card. That's the background color. If you press this button, you can change the color to whatever you want. When I'm at night, working at night, I could change it to like a dim red so that's easier on my eyes. That's kind of what I like. This is character rotation. If you want to look at the character rotation, you actually just drag this bottom square, blue square, and you attach it to the composite, and then you'll see it in the timeline here. All these little boxes, they basically represent layers. So when I connect this one to the composite, the character rotation to the composite, I'm basically connecting a new layer group, because this isn't a single layer, it's actually a group of layers. So if I expand the timeline, you can see this is the character rotation. It comes in the form of a folder because it's grouped. You click it to open the folder, and now you can select and mess around with different layers. I have one for notes, but I accidentally put some stuff like up here. I accidentally put this on the wrong layer, so that's why you can still see it even when I hide the notes layer. But what you guys will be doing is when I assign you guys shots to work on, let's say I am Chi Yang, Grand Youngster, Chi Yang, and I tell him to do the in-betweens for number 3. I drag the bottom square of number 3, connect it to the composite, and now I can see it, and I can mess around with the work, and I could add new frames and add and draw in between. If you are a rough key artist, then you'll be making your own new layers. What you do, if you first of all, you got to disconnect everything, but not the color card, because that's the background color, and you add layers as you normally would. Let's say I have these 3 layers, or maybe one of them even has a peg. Well, they all spawn in this concentrated area. So if I separate everything out, you'll see the composite again. And these are the layers over here that we just added. And you press Control-Shift-G to group them together. And the reason I press Control-Shift-G is because if I don't do that and I just press Control-G, which is how it groups together normally, there'll be 3 outputs because there's 3 outputs here, and that's a lot harder to manage. If I right-click and I select Group, Control-Shift-G is the one with the composite, which means when I enter the group and I look inside, there's a composite here. That way, there's only one. It narrows all 3 outputs into one output and is easier to manage. I press this triangle beside it to enter it, and I press this triangle on top to exit. This one, I can expand it, makes it easier to drag around. I did that with all of these. This yellow button, you can mess with the layer. You can mess with the properties of the node. These are called nodes, and they represent the layers in the timeline. But I can edit these nodes by pressing that yellow button and name it to scene 999. That will be the name. And once I'm done, I can drag it aside, disconnect it, pow. Later on, I'm probably going to group all of these shots into a single group, and then I'll name it scene 2. So eventually, as you guys send me work, I'll update this main file, and maybe someday it'll look like this with scene 2 all combined in one.